Hello, I'm Mr. Palmieri, and this is.
I'm Austin Tappan.
And I'm going to be talking you through the two big ideas in philosophy: necessary and sufficient conditions, and counterexamples. These help us create good definitions and test whether they work. A necessary condition is something that has to be true for something to count, but by itself, it might not be enough. For example, to be a cat owner, you must have a cat. That's necessary. But having a cat doesn't automatically make you a responsible cat owner, so it's not sufficient. A sufficient condition is something that if it guarantees the thing qualifies, even if it's not required. For example, owning a legally registered car is sufficient for being a car owner, even though some people own cars that aren't registered yet. This means registration isn't necessary, but it's sufficient. Now I'm going to talk to you about counterexamples. These are examples to test whether whether a definition actually works. Now you have too broad, which means the definition includes things that shouldn't count, and too narrow, which means it leaves things out that should count. Before we move on, I want to test to see how well you understand necessary and sufficient conditions. I'll give you a condition, and you tell me whether it's necessary, sufficient, both, or neither for the concept. For example, being a student. Being a student means you're enrolled in at least one class.
That's necessary. You need to be enrolled to be a student, but it isn't sufficient because enrolling once doesn't automatically make you an active student forever.
That is correct. Now, I'm going to give you a second example. Being a millionaire. It means having more than $1 million in your bank account.
That's sufficient. If you have over $1 million in the bank, you definitely qualify as a millionaire. But it's not necessarily because someone could own over $1 million in assets instead of cash.
That is correct. Now, for the last example, I'm going to say being a dog means being a mammal.
That's necessary. All dogs are mammals, but it's not sufficient because lots of mammals are not dogs.
Great, so you understand how necessary and sufficient conditions work. Now let's move on to counterexamples in action.
Okay, here's my concept. A pencil. A pencil is something you write with.
Good start, but I have a counterexample. A pen is also something you write with, but it's not a pencil. That means your definition is too broad.
Okay, let me fix it. A pencil is a writing tool made of wood with graphite inside.
That avoids the pen counterexample. Much better. Now it's my turn. A chair. A chair is something that you sit on.
Here's my counterexample. A couch. You could sit on a couch, but it isn't a chair. That means your definition is too broad. It includes things that shouldn't count.
Correct. That shows the definition needs more precision.